Okay, so in the previous class, we were talking on the application types already, standard applications and custom applications. So standard applications are the applications which are given by Salesforce as part of their Salesforce CRM. Those are nothing but the sales, marketing, service. These are the applications which are already available. And custom applications are the applications which we we can create our own, like banking applications, healthcare applications, logistics applications. Okay, we can create any application of our type using the custom applications. And we have learned how to create a lightning application, custom lightning application. And good that I'm happy that you guys are practicing it. I'm very happy. I want this kind of questions to come up and give me tasks to find out some solutions. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, good that you are practicing and you are doing it. I'm very happy about that. But please continue till the end of our session, and spend at least half an hour to 1 hour daily on whatever class we teach, as well as you can read out some materials out there. Yeah, and then we discussed about page layouts, why page layouts are used, and mm, like the main reason is to perform all kind of DML operations. We use page layouts, and why we use different types of page layouts. Yeah, I have given that ICICI Bank example. And in that page layout, we have two different modes, edit mode and detail mode. Edit mode is for insertion and updation of data into our object, and detail mode is to retrieve data. And apart from that, I just asked you to create a page layout. Yes, a few of them should be doing it. I'm sure you guys did it. Okay, so let us proceed for today's topic. Yeah, so it's relationships. So this is one of the major important concept in Salesforce. Yeah. So we just need to understand what is a relationship and how to map association between different objects, and what is the need of associating relationship between objects. So all those we are going to understand in our class today. So the question here comes initially is, so why don't we store all the data, so much of data in one single object? The question comes here, why can't we store so much of data in one single object? The reason is that we have limitations on our database tables. You name any kind of database, yes, we have a limitation on the number of columns we need to use on the table. So let me share you. So our question is very basic, like why don't we store all of the database or all of the information in one single object? Yeah, and why? Because we have different uh, you know naming conventions for each object, as well as we have limitations on each object. The amount of information you share on each object is limited. So let's take an example, or a simple example of an organization. So our organization has employees like say 10,000 people as employees, of which 7,000 people are. So our organization is a sales company or sales related company. So our organization has 7,000 people working for sales department, 1,000 people working for marketing, and 2,000 people working for service. So in this case, I need to store all of this 10,000 employees information in one single table. Yes, that is possible. But for each employee, I have multiple details like employee ID, name, designation, department, location, and if you say there are a couple of things which we might keep on adding the columns this way. So I need uh, maybe employees Aadhaar number, employees passport ID, employees driving license ID. So like this, if I keep on adding the columns in my database table, I'm going to definitely reach out to the limitation where the number of columns allowed on each database table is limited. Okay. So anyone can answer in any other databases. What is the limitation on number of columns on a database table? Anyone have idea? Any DB, SQL DB, MongoDB, whatever. Okay. It is 1024. So maximum, you take any type of database, the maximum number of columns allowed is 1024. So same as in any other databases. So the Salesforce has its own database called database.com, which is also having this particular limitation of 1024 columns. So this columns, so if we keep on adding the data like this, then we have a restriction on the number of columns. So in that case, we will have to stop, right? So I reached 1024 columns and I still have some more information to be added. So in that case, it's a limitation, right? So this, to overcome this limitation, we come across something called relationship. So our point number one. So first, we are going with what are the limitations we have for us to come to a topic called relationships. So number of columns is, so this is our number one limitation, the number of columns limitation. So in any database, you name it, and it has maximum allowed number of columns is 1024. And so is the case with our Salesforce database, database.com. It also has this limitation. So this is one limitation for us not allowing to store complete information in one single database table, one single object. Okay, this is one limitation. Let me go for and name is some Srikant, designation is some designation is given, and the department, it belongs to some service department. So here, if you see, if I fill on the data like this, let's say employee name number 2 and name is Charan. So department is sales, and employee name number 03, name Sabha, designation, and then department is marketing. Okay. So here, if you see in the department column, the data is going to be repeated. So how many times? So sales, when I write sales here, So sales is going to be repeated 7,000 times because we have 10,000 employees, of which 7,000 belongs to sales department. So, and marketing is going to be repeated for 1,000 times, and service is going to be repeated for 2,000 times. So here, if you see, there is something called duplicate data. So in one single column, I have 10,000 rows, but the unique data is only three columns. Sorry, three, three different fields. Okay, so that is sales, marketing, service. But I have a repeated data. So that means a duplicate data within my database table. So this is one other limitation of us not able to, store the one single complete our complete company's information in one single table or one single object. So redundancy or duplicate data. So this is one other uh, limitation for us not storing the information in one single object. And the third one is performance issues. So if you're going to keep on adding, uh, rows and rows of data and columns of data to retrieve the information, we will come across the performance issues. So that So that's the upon adding, inserting or updating the data, we will face some kind of issues. I mean, performance issues, when I say to retrieve a data, to update a data, it will take so long time. You can't hold hang, you will have to hang on till the table is updated. Okay, so yeah, that is one other limitation for us not having one single object to store and every other kind of data. So these are the limitations due to which we, in normal database, we come across a concept called normalization. So normalization is like we decompose the data into different, tables without any data loss. So we will be dividing the data into different tables. So in our example, so here actually we can create another database table, which is a small table, but we can, reference it easily. So another different, another database table named department. Okay, so department will have only these three fields. So as our company is a limited company, we have only three different departments. So we can create another table with the name department. So in Salesforce terms, it is another object named department. And this is going to have these three rows: sales, marketing, and service. Yeah. So that is how, to avoid uh, the number of columns issue or the redundancy issue or the performance issues, we go ahead with something called relationships in Salesforce, of which, so yeah, as you can see, so Salesforce provides us ready-made applications to be used to manage business application specific data. Yeah. To store this, we have to use our objects. While storing the whole business data inside single object, it causes the below issues. Yeah. As I was telling, number of columns limitation. A database table can have a maximum of 1024 as said. Yeah. It causes redundancy. Duplicate records will be stored in the object. Yeah. This is like the department field which we were talking about. So the department, so in my table, the department column will have sales for 7,000 times. So that's the redundancy, and it causes performance issues, and it causes issues while managing the records inside the object. Yeah. This again comes under the performance issues. Yes. So while managing, when we have a vast amount of data to retrieve the data, to insert, update, we will be facing the latency issues as well as performance issues. So to avoid these issues, we have to use the help of normalization. Normalization describes non-loss of data into different tables. We can split the data into multiple objects. Yeah, as I was telling you, uh, so we are going to use this particular table, our employee table, and we are going to have another table called um, department table. So, and we are going to link these two tables together. And that's where the concept of relationships comes in. Okay, so this particular normalization will help us, link between these two objects together, and that link, or while decomposing records into multiple objects, we have to take help of relationships. We have to map association among objects. Yes, mapping the association means we are, so in our normal SQL database, uh, we have something called primary key, foreign key, if you remember. Okay, so similarly in Salesforce, we have to, identify a field, a column, which is unique to both the tables. So in the department table, in the employee table, I have a unique field called uh, employee name, right? So employee number. Okay, that's the unique field which I have in employee table. So in the department table, I'm going to add this employee ID column, so that because this is unique. So this is the unique field in our table, so which through which we are going to refer from our employee table to the department table, or from department table to employee table. So the mapping, we can do it from a child object and a parent object. So when we are doing this, so our parent object here in our case is the employee object, whereas the child object is the department object. So we have to do mapping from parent to the child. Sorry, we have to do the mapping from child to the parent, because that's the reason we are adding the employee ID field, which is in our parent actually, and we are adding that particular field in our child object department. So there also we are adding a column called employee ID. So we have to create a relationship field. Yeah, the relationship field which we are creating here is the employee ID. So that's the relationship field which is used to reference it to the parent object. Yeah. Okay, so we have different types of relationships in Salesforce. Yeah. So here we have some 4 types of different relationships in Salesforce. So Salesforce provides below relationship data types: lookup relationship, master detail relationship, external lookup relationship, and hierarchical relationship. Yeah. So the difference, so for each one of it, we are going to understand how we are going to mm, create a lookup relationship field, how we are going to create a master detail relationship, and how we are going to create a, uh, hierarchical. Hierarchical is we will not be creating it manually, but yes, while creating the objects and we assign them in a hierarchical manner, then the relationship comes in. And external relationship is something whenever we export data from some other system, let's say ServiceNow or let's say some other external data source. Like example is like, so my company, let's say a logistics company, a porter, okay, in India. So my company is previously using some XYZ CRM system, but now wanted to come to Salesforce. So in that case, we can do integration of Salesforce with the previous data. So if we have the previous CRM data into an in a CSV format, and we can, upload it, we can create a relationship with the external fields. So there we create an ID called external ID, which is going to be our unique ID for the external system in order to reference it through Salesforce. So that's where external ID, external lookup relationship comes into picture. And yeah, hierarchical is nothing but it. So hierarchical, while creating the objects itself, if I place an object hierarchically under a larger object, so they are by default in a hierarchical relationship. Yes, we will understand this hierarchical relationships probably in few other topics later. Okay, so I logged into my Salesforce org, and we are here on the talent acquisition. Hope you all have created some application like this and created an object position in the talent acquisition application. So this position object, if you click on it, we can see the details of it, and the name is referenced as underscore underscore C, because this is a custom object. So when we see something here related, this is where the actual relationship comes into picture. So usually we have, by default, we have relationships between already available standard objects. So what are different kinds of standard relationship which we have? Let me explain you. So here, if we take an example, Salesforce. So in Salesforce, as we were talking, we have only 1024 column limitation as in any other database system. Yes. So when we go to some account and click on creating some new contact for it, and do you think these are the only fields which are available for this contact? No. We have many other fields which are internally used by Salesforce, but which are not displayed here. So those are the fields which are which are used as a reference for say within Salesforce, which is used to internally reference by the system. So let's go to setup. Let's go to objects and let's go to lead object. Yeah, this is where we see the relationship fields and relationships. Fields are our actual fields, and the relationships are also a kind of fields which are of type relationship. May if it is lookup relationship, the type is going to be lookup. You see the type here, right? Lookup. So if you take an example, let's go to developer console. Yeah. So this is how your developer console looks like. So when we can go to a query editor, select name ID created by from, let's say, lead. And yeah, so if we click on, see, the field names, you can get it from here. Okay, so we don't need to remember all the fields. So if you click on created by field, what is the name of that particular field is going to be displayed here. So field name is created by ID. So this is what we need to give here. And if we click execute, so it's going to give the records. Okay, the name of the lead record, the ID of the lead record, the created by field, and you can have all these fields which are available. So there are a few particular fields which we cannot see by within the Salesforce system, but those are internally used by Salesforce for referencing. Okay. So yeah, what are the standard fields? Do you remember the standard fields in Salesforce? I need answers, please. Yes, Sharon, Sabha, Shrikant, what are the standard fields in Salesforce? There are
Hmm.
4 standard fields.
Last modified owner created
Mhm,
by
mhm. Correct. Okay. So that is name field and ID created by last modified. So these are the standard fields in Salesforce for every object which we are going to have these fields. So this we cannot modify, but this we can use it as, you know, we can display the data, we can find out, query the data like we were doing here. So we can query the data. We can see what all objects, I mean, what are the fields available in this particular data. So when you say again ID, do you remember we were talking about ID? 00Q represents which object? Answer is here. lead object. Okay, so we were talking about object ID, right? So that is what the ID here is. And as I was saying, it's a 18 character record ID. So this was 18 character record ID as well. Okay, so these are nothing but the table information which we have within Salesforce, and how we can see all the fields and relationships within Salesforce. Okay, so see this primary. So it's one of the field which is created, and it is a custom field. So based by looking at the name itself, we can identify whether it's a standard field or a custom field. And yes, in our current topic, what we are going to do is, so we talked about data types, right? So a relationship will also be one other data type, which we are going to use it. See here, if you see, there is a uh, thing called relationship lookup, right? So lookup is one relationship type where we can create create a field of type lookup. Okay, so this is all about a small concept on fields and relationships. Yes, we will be talking how to create a lookup relationship, how to create a hierarchical relationship, master detail relationship. Yes, we are going to talk about that. And also we will be talking about many other types here: field sets, compact layouts, record types, and triggers. Yeah, this will come in the development concepts. Okay, so let us go ahead and do this one of the assignment within class now. Okay, so configure a lookup relationship between hiring manager and position objects and list out all the observations. So we need to identify which is the parent object, which is the child object. So position object we have already created. So let me create an object called hiring manager within my talent acquisition application. So yes, this we need to do it because we are creating, we need to make sure we are creating in object under our application only. So yeah, I go to my application, and from there I create a hiring manager object. So I have the position object under accounts, and I wanted to create another object called hiring manager. So yes, again, a hands-on how to create a custom object. Okay. So parent account, this we cannot, we are not giving it because we are creating our custom objects. And now actually, while create, if we would have created hiring manager first and then created position, probably we can directly create a link here. So this is how Salesforce helps us in creating the relationship between two objects. So fill out all the details. Let's take our customer rating as 1, I'm not filling all this information. We can fill it if we need. So I'm just saving normal. So here, if you see, we have created an object called hiring manager and we have an object called position. So I would go ahead and create one more object, uh, name candidate. So all these objects are related. So here, if I see, I wanted to mark the parent object for my candidate object as hiring manager. So hiring manager will be, parent object for my candidate object. And then we are going to see what is the relationship between these two objects. So how Salesforce is going to take it. Okay. So in my candidate objects, so I didn't give any details here. So now if I go ahead and go to our setup and see the relationship of, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, query my, so since this is uh, custom object, we need to give the exact API name using __C. Yeah. So we should have already learned or known about what is one-to-one relationship, one-to-many, or many-to-many, many-to-one relationships, right? So it's just like a normal relationship between different objects. So we can have any type of this kind of relationship in our objects. So we can have this kind of relationship, either one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationship, or many-to-one relationship. So this all these four categories fall under our two main relationships, that is lookup relationship and the master detail relationship. So a combination of these two relationships, we can fall under any category of this kind of relationships within Salesforce. So yeah. Okay, so this is like we can have all this one-to-many associations between two objects. That is one parent object and many child objects we can have. Or while creating the child object itself, a lookup field can be optional by default. We can also do reparenting. Reparenting in the sense we can, detach a child object from a parent and attach that particular child object to a different parent. We can do the reparenting also in Salesforce. And upon deleting the parent record, child's records will be, remain as child object only. So the major kind of relationships which we have. Yeah, these are the two important relationships apart from the hierarchical or external type of relationships. So what, excuse me. So what is the difference or what is actually a lookup relationship? A lookup relationship is nothing but it's just uh, find out so in our example, the department and employee. So it is just the employee is having a lookup relationship to the department. So whenever a department field has to be found out, suppose I have to write a query mentioning the department is equal to sales. So in that case, I'm going to reference my department table from the employee object. So the relationship here is just a lookup. So we are going to that particular table and finding out the data from that table. So that's the basic simple lookup relationship. And when we say master detail relationship, it's a kind of relationship where the master so in a lookup relationship, it is like the master, the parent table or parent object or the child objects are independent of each other. Any update in the uh, parent object won't affect the child object. They both are independent, two different independent tables. Whereas coming to the master detail relationship, so here the relationship is controlled by the master table. So we have here two tables like master table and detail table. So when we say there is a relationship between a master and a detail, so the detail table is detail object is going to be get controlled by the master object. So if there is some changes in the master object, there should be the changes happening in the detail object as well. So here the detail object is not independent. So it is depending on the master object for any kind of, if there is some change going to happen, some update going is happening on the master object, the same change has to happen in the detail object as well. So whereas in lookup relationship, it is both the tables, both the objects are independent of each other. They just have a field in common, which is used for referencing between. So the example which we have seen, employee and the department table. So it falls under the lookup relationship. So in the master detail relationship, it's a complete control of the detail table or the slave table, I would say, which is going to be controlled by the master. So whenever a change is happening in the master, the same change is going to be reflected in the detail table as well. So it is dependent on the master object. So lookup is the parent and child are independent. They don't have any dependency. And the only relationship here we have is just the lookup. So if we need to find out employee 001 belongs to which department, so I'm going to reference to the department table and find out based on the employee ID, I'm finding out which department employee 001 belongs to. So it's just the lookup, and both the parent object and the child object are independent of each other. Yeah. And in the master detail relationship, both parent and child are dependent. Child is dependent on the parent object, and any changes made in the parent object are going to be reflected in the child object. So it's a master slave kind of relationship where we complete control is on the parent object. So now you can have some questions like, what happens if master object is deleted in the master detail relationship? Yes, the detail object is also going to be get deleted, and it is going to give us a prompt. Whereas in lookup relationship, if you are going to delete a parent object, child object is still remaining. Child object will remain as it is. There is no effect on the child object, even though if we delete the master object. Yeah, these are the typical scenarios which we are actually not going to do, but I mean, not going to do in the sense the complete object deletion, we are not going to do most of the cases, but we come across scenarios where we are going to delete some records in the parent object, and where we have reference of those objects in the child object. So that those are going to remain as it is in the lookup relationship. Yeah. So we will discuss more on the relationships again tomorrow. So lookup, master detail, and other two hierarchical external as well. And for today, as assignment, please create so we are going to create a lightning application by name. Take any example as insurance, Epic Insurance. So you would go ahead and create a lightning application by name Epic Insurance, download some kind of logo from Google and put the logo again here. And this is a lightning application. So you will have to create in the lightning experience and see if it is appearing in the app manager as well as the app launcher along with the logo. Yeah, this is assignment for today, assignment number 7. So don't misunderstand me giving assignment. This is just because as we do more and more practice, we will come to understand the things better, as well as we come across some questions as people were asking today. Okay. Yeah. So today we were talking about the relationships and why do we have to go to relationship just because of the limitations on the database tables, the number of columns limitation, which is 1024 in any kind of database. And redundancy or duplicate data, we can't keep same type of data in multiple columns. Like in our example, we had uh, our employee table having department column with multiple data, right? With sales, I mean the word sales is going to repeat 7,000 times here in our 10,000 rows. So that's a data redundancy issue if we have to go with only one single object. And we will face performance issues as well. We will face updation issues, insertion or updation issues. Any kind of in fact any kind of DML operations we perform on that particular single database table, so we are going to face issues. So that's where we have to go with relationships. And in relationships, yeah, so this is one concept of relationship where we says we can have one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many relationships. So these relationships we are going to achieve even in lookup and master detail. So how we are going to achieve, so in many to many relationship, to achieve that, we are going to have two master detail relationships along with an object called junction object. Yeah, that we are going to learn it later. So the main basic two types of relationships is lookup relationship and master detail relationship. Lookup relationship is just a relationship between two objects where we have a reference of a parent object on the child object, which we can use to reference it and access the child object. So both parent and child are independent of each other, whereas in master detail relationship, parent object is the controlling mechanism of the relationship. So any changes made on the parent object will appear in the child object also. Yeah, so this is all we learned about the relationships today. We will continue the relationships tomorrow again with more details again. So I would ask you to complete this assignment, create a Lightning application by name Epic Insurance, and make sure you download some logo and put the logo as well, and make sure it is appearing on the app launcher as well as the app manager. Okay. Just while creating the application, make sure you read all the options which are given. So any checkboxes or any other options, please make sure you read all the options so that you will understand why we are getting those kind of options to be selected, to be written, to be highlighted. Okay, so based on that only our application will appear in the app manager or app launcher. Okay, yeah, that is all about today's class. Thank you so much for your time. Good day.